Welcome to Practical Talk. Hey, I'm Heather, a first-generation entrepreneur, social media marketing expert, former television and radio producer, and founder of Holloway Media Services. My intention with this podcast is to teach entrepreneurs how to increase their impact and income with practical marketing advice. You know, the real stuff you can actually use to grow your business. So stick around and succeed with my easy-to-implement tips. And it all starts right now. If you're enjoying this topic at any moment, please share the episode with your network. Post it on social and tag us. And if you haven't yet, go subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Practical Talk. I am your host, Heather Holloway, and joining me today is my friend, Greg Russell, and he's all about the internet, y'all. Greg's goal is to help as many people as possible become just as excited and knowledgeable about the internet as he is. Greg is the founder and CEO of Success Team One, an internet marketing company he established to take the guesswork out of marketing small business on the internet. As a lifelong entrepreneur, Greg understands the importance of effectively marketing businesses to the vast arena of clients on and off cyberspace. However, early on, he recognized how revolutionary, cost-effective, and efficient internet marketing can be for the small business owner. And I am so excited for you to be on the show and just give us all the juicy goodness about this whole internet marketing thing, man. How are you doing?
Heather, thank you so much for having me on the show. It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to share. So
yeah, cool, man.
I am here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's what you said. Like, whatever you need, you are there. So tell me, how did we get to Success Team One? What led us up to that?
Many years ago, I wanted to be a professional football player, and
Cool.
like many, it didn't work out. And so, I decided that what I really wanted to do was to work from home. I wanted to have a short NFL career or a NFL career and then turn that into a business that I could work. And so I've always had this desire to, have a business. And when football didn't work out, then I started, to do the business. And at the time I was working it with my mom, and I had to break down and teach her how to use the technology. So I learned at a very young age how to break down technology in a way that the average person can understand it and effectively use it. So it kind of started out with me helping mom.
Oh yeah. So what is mom like an internet whiz now? She's like
I wouldn't say that, but she's very skilled for in her group that she's in and amongst her peers. And she's been influential, and she's always had a vision beyond what everybody else sees. So back in 1996, she was like, Greg, I think this internet thing is going to be pretty big. We should get into it in 1996. And that's when we got involved on the internet. And, at least 6 years ago, she's talking about cryptocurrency and how cryptocurrency is going to be big.
What?
She's always ahead of the thing, and it's like, sometimes you can't even see it. You're like, what are you talking about? Nobody know anything about this cryptocurrency. Like, now you're like, okay, mom, I'm sorry. I just should have listened. I should have known better.
Yeah. So, right.
Always ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I think the best lesson there is always listen to mom. Mom
always
knows
listen
best.
to mom.
So did she also back in like 96 in the 90s, was she also like, hey, maybe we should buy some Apple stock, or maybe this new thing called,
See, at that time we were in the computer. So in the 80s, between 84 and 86, they bought the computer for the household. At the time, you bought one computer for the whole household. Right. It was a Macintosh 512K, and that was the first computer we had. And again, ahead of the time, got a personal computer in the mid 80s. Yeah. And we had it in our house and learned. And me being exposed to it at that young age is probably why I'm very comfortable with it and have the business that I have now.
Yeah. And like babies now pop right out with a cell phone in their hand, man. Like, back in the day, we're all like, how do we record on a VCR and set it up to do a stuff like that.
My goodness. Yeah.
I've been a tech kid like ever since. I'm an 80s baby. So I grew up with, the technology starting to become more of a consumer product. And man, I just remember we got the first computer and hooking it up to the internet, and receiving that bill because, looking it up on the
the,
internet.
the phone being tied up because you're
That's
tying up the
right.
phone line to be
Yeah.
online, and your parents get off the phone line.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Which is so crazy to think like today, the technology we have and all the resources and everything. And that's probably why it is so dang confusing because there's a solution. There's what, 12 solutions for one issue. You can, and that's sort of as an entrepreneur, that's where I'm getting caught up is, what mistakes, I feel like I'm making a ton of mistakes. What are the common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making with their tech these days?
And I think you hit on it. There's so many things now that can do the same thing that it's very confusing, especially in the digital marketing space where you're looking at software and apps to try to run your business. And I think the number one mistake that entrepreneurs make is picking technology that doesn't work together, right? So
Mm,
you need several different pieces of software to run your business, right? We all if you're trying to sell something on the internet, you're going to need software and apps to help you do that. And I believe that picking the right ones is the mistake that most people make because they don't spend the time or have the knowledge to realize if I get this thing that processes payments, does it work with my website software, right? Does this
mm,
shopping cart system work with my email system? It's not all one piece and it's not all clear what works together and what doesn't. And I think the
yeah.
biggest mistake that entrepreneurs have is picking technology that doesn't work with the other technology they already have or are using.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so many providers out there with all of their own agendas. And then the marketing copy can be so good. And they're like, oh, it's so easy and it'll work with this and blah, blah, blah. And we fall down the trap. We start to spend money, we start to spend time, and then we start to lose our hair because we missed the wrong, it's like, so how do we find the tech we need, Greg? Help us.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If you haven't, and it's challenging because I run across people all the time. They're like, I had this guy or I had this girl do this, and they always lead them into some sort of mess or challenge. And a lot of times, it's just very difficult. And the part of it, and I wish I had like an answer, right? Other than, hey, call me. But I wish I had an answer. But it's challenging because there's so many software coming out
Mm,
every single year that it's exponentially getting challenging. And the software and the marketing apps are so profitable because they most are based on that subscription based model. Back in the day, we had to buy Adobe Photoshop, right? And we had to spend
yes.
$300 to $500, and we'd have that version. And then a year or 2 years later, it's time to upgrade, and they want you to spend another $200 to $300 to upgrade to the next version. Well, they all switch that, and they all go on this, subscription model. Like $50 a month, you can have the whole suite now, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, so many companies are coming out, and so many companies that have already developed are creating overlap where they are developing overlap so you can stay with them, right? Let me give you a perfect example. Aweber is an autoresponder application that you can basically sign up to and get a form that people can enter their name and email address, and they can get dripped out a series of emails. But when Aweber first came out, that's all they were. They were you can get the form and they could give you a code to put it on your website. Now they're like, well, why would we give you a form to put on a website? Why don't we develop web pages ourselves? So
Mm.
now they're developing web pages themselves, and they're trying to compete with other things that do more stuff. So they're always developing more. So now inherently it's got way more involved and complicated for that one software because it does so much things. And that thing now overlaps with, well, what if I had this other thing that builds web pages? I need to have something to send emails, but my email service sends email, builds web pages too. Which one should I use? So
Yes.
it just gets complicated. Um, how and I can't say I know everything, but I've been around enough and I've worked with enough clients that had different software. So I got exposed to so many that I can typically come in a matter of 22 minutes, tell you whether your software is going to work together and recommend stuff that will work for what you're trying to do and with what software you may already have or may need.
Oh,
So
wow.
I can help. I'm not sure everyone can help, but listen, I have to just be honest. I'm one of the best in the world when it comes to understanding digital technology and marketing services. There's not many people out there that have the background, skills, and knowledge that I have. I've been in the background for major internet marketers and service providers over the years. And so I know my stuff. I've been doing it. And if somebody needs help and they really want to check, they can come to mytechjedi.com and they can subscribe for a free consult, and we can get on the phone and I can help them figure out if they have what they need.
I love that. I love that. And I back that up 1,000,000%, because Greg and I have been working together for, a couple of weeks or so. And I'm like, Greg, help me. And I'll tell you what, he is there. You're always there and you always have the solution. It's incredible. But that's what happens when you buy the Macintosh 512 back in the 80s. I mean, yeah. he's got experience. He's got experience. So what do you think would be, if we're just getting started out there with tech, what are our basic needs that we should have?
If you really want to compete, you have to have a full-blown CRM. You can't no longer start out with just an autoresponder and PayPal. 7 years ago, you could, but today you cannot, because the pandemic pushed everyone online and everyone's learning these skills, and your competition, whether you recognize it or not, regardless of what field you're in, has massively increased. And so if you to have a fighting chance, you're going to need a full-blown CRM that does multiple things. It collects emails. It allows you to set up order forms and payments, and it keeps that record of that person of everything they do, whether they open the email, whether they click on the email, whether they buy a product and service. And you need to set up automations that allow you to push your business forward so that you're not having to deal with every single person, every single purchase. The full-blown CRMs will allow you to send access, usernames and passwords to membership areas to people who purchase a thing, if you're in the digital space, to do that. A lot of the shopping carts now, like Shopify and stuff, will tie into a full-blown CRM so you can have the correct follow-up services that you need. You can reach back out to someone who's purchased a widget, 3 months later with special promos and stuff like that. So you need a full-blown, the full-blown CRM if you want to compete in today's market.
Yeah, if you want to compete and if you want a life, because to send out those emails, to follow up, did they click on it? What's working, what's not? Where's the, where am I leaving money on the table? Where's the leaky bucket? Where's the hole that I can plug? And that's what technology helps you do. If you're a one woman show, or I have a couple team members, but my team members are doing other activities. They're not the one doing the marketing messages and stuff. So I know that with my CRM experience, it's helped do a lot of that heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
So
I have a framework that I'll share. It's OTLT.
Cool.
And it doesn't spell anything. It's not like some cool word, but if you can remember OTLT, those are the 4 letters that describe the 4 characteristics, of what you need. So the first thing is the offer, right? You got to have an offer, whatever it is, you got to make an offer. So especially if you want to sell in today's thing. Now, since I'm talking to everyone, I know some people may think about having an e-commerce store and having hats and shirts. In that particular case, you can't control, no one can control the desire, but there's no way for you to enhance that desire, right? When you're talking about something other than and typically it's information, because we're in the information society, we're in information world where information is the thing you're selling. That is the place where you can really get the most benefit. And I heard one guy say one time that every business is an information business. I'm going to say it again. Every business is an information business. So because we're in the information world, you find a way to use and sell and profit from the information about that business, about that product, no matter what it is. Selling and profiting from the information is where it's at. So the L is having an offer. So this way you can create an offer around whatever it is. And I'm sorry, the O is the offer. Yeah. The L is the list. Once you make an offer, whether for something for free or paid, you now build your list. And we've all heard, the money's in the list.
Yep.
And I partially agree. I believe the money is in the relationship with the list, right? Money's in the relationship with the list, because if you build a list and you never email their people or talk to them and they don't know you, it doesn't matter. It's very hard to make that list do anything for you. And people always ask me, what's the best subject line? What's the best trick or whatever? And I tell them, if your mom sent you an email, would you open it? And they usually say, yeah. And I'll say, why? And they said, because it's my mom. Right. And I said, well, if you want the best way to open to open rates, make sure they know you. Like, it ain't have to be your mom, but make sure they know you. Like, if somebody important sends you an email, you want to open it. That's the type of relationship you want to build, so that when you send out an email, regardless of what the subject line is, they'll open it. So I'll wrap this up real quick. O is the offer. The L is the list. The T is the tracking, right?
The tracking.
Right.
And then, yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you want to do the tracking, right? Because this way you can measure what's working. If you send out 100 emails, how many people opened it, how many people clicked on the link, how many people purchased, right? So you can do the tracking. And then your goal is to always try to improve on your rates for that. So that's how you do it with the information business. And remember, no matter what business you're in the information business, whether you realize it or not.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber, a widget maker, a candlestick maker, you all have something of value, some piece of information to provide that you can keep going to over and over again, and nurturing and starting that relationship, man. That's it. That's it, dude. You just dropped it. Offer list tracking. What was the last one?
OTL. Let's just go with those three, because right now
That's how we do it, folks. We're entrepreneurs and there's a lot of stuff in our head. Yeah.
Start there.
Yeah. Start there. Offer, list, and tracking. Those are the three things. So, it would be to a lot of these softwares, you can go out there and test drive it, 14-day free trial, stuff like that. So I think the point is to get on some sort of system so that you can, again, start building that list, nurture that list, and track what's happening in that list. Now, tell me about, you have a really cool show that comes out every Tuesday called Technology Tuesday. Let's talk about that for a sec.
Yes. So years ago, it's funny. And I mean, years ago, I think like almost 10 years ago, I bought the domain Technology Tuesday, and I wanted to have a show about teaching entrepreneurs how to use technology. And, I kept trying and starting and not having it succeed the way I wanted to. And I just kept trying. So if there's ever something you wanted to do, a podcast, a blog, or any of these things that, that we're supposed to create content for, and you seem to start and stop and it's not working, listen, I've been there. And my advice to you is decide, right? Make a decision to be consistent, right? And so when I decided that no matter what, I'm going to do it every Tuesday, no matter what, then at that point, did it really take off and be successful? So we just do it every single Tuesday. I got a co-host. We go in there, we have a good time. We share resources that we find, strategies that we used. We talk about client successes, mistakes, right? And we have a good time. And every now and then we interview somebody. But it's more about us just sharing our resources as entrepreneurs, behind the scenes, look at what really goes on in our business. And so I love doing the show, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback. So if you want to see a cool show for entrepreneurs around today's technology, head over to technologytuesday.com.
Hey, with the drop. I love it. And don't forget, he's going to track you too, because he knows how to use the technology. That's awesome. Oh, hey, before we go, you said that you didn't make it to the NFL, and that's okay, but your daughter's playing in the major leagues. Talk about that real quick.
Oh my goodness. My daughter is, at the time of this recording, she's 10. Wow. And almost 3 years ago, we took her to Disney for her 8th birthday, because she's about to be 11, and she did a little dance, and she's always doing dance. As a baby, she'd sing, dance all the time, just would love to just do it. Not afraid of anything. And so she did a dance. I whipped out my camera and record her like I normally do. And then that night, my wife was like, should we post this? And I was like, yeah, put on, family, I love it. We're here in Disney. So we posted it. And the next day we woke up to like 2,000-3,000 views. It was something, I've never seen it spread that fast. Oh, neat. And it just took off, Later that day, the news called, and he's like, the local news in Florida called and was like, hey, we want to interview you. And the lady told us, she said, this is going to go viral. And it sure enough did. It went viral. Disney called, and then we got to go to Disney for free. because we were still there in the thing. And so it went viral. And then it got her on TV 3 times. So the next month, ABC called and she got on the Sarah Strahan and Kiki show. And then they called back, and she's just been gone ever since. And then last year, she auditioned for Disney's The Lion King, and she booked that. And she spent 7 months in New York. Well, we spent 7 months in New York while she performed The Lion King on Broadway in New York City.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. What was she in the musical?
She was young Nala. She was opposite of young Simba.
Wow.
And The Lion King is the one play for children actors that has the most stage time. And what's even crazier, when she was 5, we took her to see The Lion King. And when the little girl came out, then she was like, sat up on her seat and she was like, I want to do that. And sure enough,
she manifested it.
Sure enough, she manifested it.
Wow. That is so cool, Greg. That is so neat.
Yeah.
So you spent 7 months. Is there any more coming up? Can you tell? And anything happening?
There is. Yeah. But at this particular point, I can't tell. But if you guys follow her, because she's big on Instagram. Nice. And you can, if you go Sydney, like the city, dance Disney, you'll see she's like the first 2 pages all about her. And and that's the viral dance. But if you do Sydney Russell Lion King, you'll see stuff about her as well.
So cool. What a proud moment, man. Wow. Look at that smile. That's so cool.
Her Instagram handle is Sydney Elise Official.
Wow. Yeah. Got that official title. Yes. Does she have the little blue check yet?
Yeah, she does. I think so.
Wow. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, wow. So cool. So cool. What a proud moment. Well, Greg, I appreciate you dropping so much knowledge and sharing your personal stories with us. Of course, you can see Greg on his Technology Tuesday happening every Tuesday. And of course, he's all over the internet. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Oh my gosh. Twitter.com/Ask Greg Russell, askgregrussell.com. You can find him everywhere. It's all going to be in the show notes. Just click something and you will get to Greg and he will be your tech Jedi, man, because you want to work with somebody that you trust. And Greg is super trustworthy, and he's going to help you get all connected and sorted out. So Greg, you dropped some knowledge, offer list tracking, OLT. Are you down with me? I appreciate you so much for coming on the show today, my friend, and dropping knowledge.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Have a blessed day. And if anybody has any tech challenges, please don't get stressed out. Just hit me up at mytechjedi.com or find me at askgregrussell.com, and I will be more than happy to hook you up. Don't let it stress you out. There's money in them streets. Go get it and be blessed.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Heather Holloway, and you've been listening to Practical Talk. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me and my team. Hey, remember, check the show notes for resources and links to other episodes. And don't forget, new episodes are released every Wednesday.